Hello, welcome to Big Bang Radio Spotlights. This is the show where we talk to independent artists from all around the world all about their music and their process for making it. I'm your host, Isaac Anderson, and today I get to sit down with the band Oliver Hazard. Without any further ado, here's the interview. Well guys, thank you so much for joining us today. We really do appreciate it. I want to start with each of you at the beginning of your musical journey, just like we do with all the other artists that we talk to on the show. So the first question out of the gate for each of you, what is your earliest musical memory?
I think for me, it was my grandmother teaching me how to play piano.
Probably church choir when I was like a little rugrat.
I just remember that my cousin played drums. He was older, and I just was interested in it. And I was very young. I don't know, can't really say how old I was, but that's for the first time I was introduced to it.
Well, it sounds like you guys have a pretty long history in music, and I imagine that also correlates with maybe playing in bands or doing your own solo projects for a while. Do you guys remember the first time you actually got on a stage in front of people and played original music? Not even in Oliver Hazard, just like before Oliver Hazard.
My first gig, I believe, would have been maybe Griffin's first gig. I'm not sure, but we were in a band called Conestoga Trace, and we played a place called Mickey Finn's Pub in downtown Toledo. It was in a terrible area. I think it was an open mic, and we probably played 5 songs. And I think technically that would have been the first venue. We used to always play shows in my garage, but that was for whoever decided to show up.
I used to do piano recitals, and I'd never actually practiced the sheet music, so I'd just play my own songs to my piano teacher's dismay.
Was there a moment for each of you where you just knew that you didn't want to pursue a career or anything else, that the music was going to be the thing that was going to drive your life?
The whole project kind of happened serendipitously. I think we were all working other jobs at the time, and I don't think any of us were planning on becoming musicians. So I don't think that moment actually happened to any of us at any point until we wrote our first album, and we started getting offers from partners in the music industry to be a part of the project, and that's when I think we realized that it was possible to make money and play music at the same time.
Hold yourself in high regard and tell me how you've always been this way. Cause it don't matter if it don't fly right, and it can't hurt me like you might. You said it's 2 to 1, but you're giving me none.
The three of you look like you have a great relationship and dichotomy inside of the band. How exactly does the songwriting go for all you guys? Do you get in a room and just jam until something gels? Do each of you bring ideas forward to each other? I don't know, how does that work for you guys?
Probably the latter. It's usually someone brings a seed of an idea, and if the other two are liking it, we'll just kind of start in a collaborative mode after that initial seed of a song comes, and then we all just flesh out the rest of it together.
How exactly does each member of the band put their musical stamp on the arrangements?
Take the initiative to hopefully do what you do best on each song, and whether that's lyrics or finding the proper harmonies or instrumentally doing things. We all can collaboratively come together and usually end up filling in all the gaps. So we just kind of all fill in as we're supposed to. Some on more on some songs and less on the others. It all just depends.
Something really interesting I read about you, though, is that you guys did a living room tour. What are some things about that you feel like really changed that experience for you just in those environments? What really drew you to that?
I think the big thing was just getting folks in a room and having them listen rather than playing in an environment that wasn't built for listening to music. I think a lot of those pubs and bars they're made to socialize and converse and drink, and they're not really meant to listen to music. It's kind of a side thought. So yeah, that was kind of our goal, was to like put our fans and their friends and family into a room where they're almost forced to enjoy the music and have a good time, specifically centered around music. So
Another interesting thing about your touring cycle is that you rented some really interesting locations. I saw that you rented a baseball stadium in your hometown, and you also rented out a movie theater. What's some other locations that you think Oliver Hazard could play, and maybe that's maybe not meant for a music performance, but you can really transform into a really new thing?
we've kind of done a lot of random locations, like a sandwich shop, coffee shops, breweries. We've like reserved spaces in all of these places that weren't actually meant to play shows, and we've thrown like DIY parties or concerts in these little spaces. But yeah, I don't know. I think the baseball stadium was definitely, it felt like the coup de grace in terms of how high we could go. But I don't know. There's our festival is kind of a unique space as well, where we shut down the downtown of our hometown, and use that space as a venue as well. So I guess there's always a space to play music in any unique space.
Your new EP is out. It's a 2x4. It's got a couple songs on it. Really awesome stuff. Looking back, you guys have had really interesting recording opportunities. Like, you recorded your first album just like in one sitting after you won a raffle. And obviously, like, I'm wondering, did the COVID restrictions affect this at all, or like was this a pretty normal recording process for you guys?
We had never went in with like a professional producer or anything. We never really had, like Griffin says, we never had like a fourth member before. That's pretty much what he took on with when it came to sculpting the songs or having his input. Did make for a different project, and I think a very good one. And luckily we had good chemistry, and it was a lot of fun. We had never been able to go into the studio for just weeks at a time. I think we did it in 3 increments of a week. So for 3 separate weeks, we would record. Where usually we would just, whenever we had time to get in the studio, we would just hope to finish things. And yeah, it was definitely a fun process.
Yeah, and COVID definitely pushed it back. I think we originally planned to record it in March of 2020, which was like kind of the entry point of the whole pandemic. So yeah, we pushed it back at least somewhere around like 4 or 5 months. And I think once we were able to like understand that we could kind of do it in small group, our small pod, and keep it safe, and we were kind of able to kind of adapt to the recording environment in the midst of a pandemic.
That's out now on streaming platforms for everybody to listen to. And if people want to keep up with Oliver Hazard, how can they find you guys online?
You can find us on www.olliehazard.com, O-L-I Hazard, at Ollie Hazard on Instagram and Twitter, O-L-I Hazard, Ollie Hazard on TikTok, and anywhere on Spotify, Apple, Amazon, wherever you listen to music.
Thank you so much for being a part of this interview, but before we go, I have one more question. Now, I don't know if you've ever seen a Big Bang Radio spotlight before, but I'm a musician, but I also love film, and I believe the two worlds aren't too far away from each other, and the two worlds just kind of coincide really well. So I'm just really curious, what is your favorite movie?
I'll go Braveheart, Mel Gibson.
I was always like a big Wes Anderson guy in college. I was like the Darjeeling Limited a lot.
I love Patriot. Patriot got terrible reviews, but I love that movie. I know me and Mike really love Twister and The Mummy, so those two got to be thrown somewhere too. And terrible reviews on all of them, but that's why I like them.
Thanks to Oliver Hazard for sitting down with us and talking all about their music. If you guys want to see more interviews just like this, you can find us online at Studio 67 NCC. Thank you all for watching. I'm Isaac Anderson, and until next time, stay lovely.